Tonight, we're reading the first chapter from Drive by Tamara Lush, which is available on Wattpad Paid Stories.
My love is like a flower, I'm trying to get you over. You like love sour, then you should come try my poison.
Oh, hey there. I'm Rodney V. Smith. The V is for victory because somebody's got to do the winning around here sometime, you know. I'm a Wattpad author and a star, and also the winner of a Wattie Award in 2018 for my book, The Canefield Killer, which is available on Wattpad, so make sure to check it out. Also look for my comedic vampire series, How Not to Vampire. I'm an author, which means that lots of my friends are also authors. And since I like to talk about what my friends are doing, I've decided one of the best ways to do that would be to read the first chapter of some of their books, which is what we're doing here on video. So far, it's a win for everybody, right? Like most books, you can get a lot from a synopsis, but with the first chapter, it tells you if you like a book, and more importantly, if you like the author. This is not a review, it's never a review, just me sharing and presenting the books as they're written. You get to be the judge of how cool the stories are. The work always speaks for itself. A little bit of warning, this is usually my first time. Tonight may be a little different because I'm actually doing costume changes, but it's usually my first time, so you get to hear all of my mistakes. Every single one of them. The links are in the description, make sure to check them out. But right now, let's take a look at Drive by Tamara Lush. He's an arrogant race car driver with an attitude. She's a stubborn tire mechanic out to prove herself in a man's world. When sparks fly, will their passion make it to the finish line? Dante Annunziata's arrogant personality and Italian racing legacy are the reason he's Formula One racing champion. His pit mechanic, Savannah Jenkins, is no pushover herself. This headstrong Southern belle has ambitions to take her father's auto business to a whole new level. When the paparazzi stage Dante and Savannah in a pre-kiss pose, they're forced to fake a relationship to keep their jobs. But as engines rev and the season starts up, the contrived couple's hearts start racing for all the wrong reasons. Will Dante and Savannah let love take the wheel, or will their butting heads cause them to crash and burn? Let's get into chapter 1. Dante. I will not allow a girl to change my tires. Absolutely not. My engineer chuckled in response, and my nostrils involuntarily flared. Scowling, my voice turned icy, my Italian accent thick with derision. Dio santissimo. I am not going to dignify your laughter with a response. This is serious. My engineer, a lanky Australian named Jack, sobered and plucked a small model of our team's red and white Formula World car sitting on the table and turned it around in his hands. Look here, mate. I know you don't want a woman on the pit crew, but it's boss's orders. Might as well get used to it. She's part of the team now. I snorted and raked a hand through my hair, the back of which almost curled over the crisp collar of my blue Oxford shirt. I needed a trim prior to the next race. Like I had time for anything besides staying in top physical condition and the occasional post-race dalliance with a model or three. Boss's orders. A woman in the pit crew was a distraction I didn't need. I swept my hand dismissively through the air. There's never been a female tire changer in the history of Formula World. She'll ruin the team. The engineer set the model on the table and ran it back and forth on its small wheels, avoiding my stare. I was pissed. Just because your sister. Now I was even more pissed, and I interrupted with a growl. This has nothing to do with Gabriella. Jack sighed and pushed the little car across the table toward me. It has everything to do with her. I've known you since before the accident, and you didn't used to be so against women on the teams. I slapped my hand onto the rolling car, halting its journey across the table as my eyes spit fire. Jack was my closest friend, my savior on the track, my wingman, but he could be so obtuse. Gabriella had been gone 10 years, and yet the pain of losing her in a paddock fire haunted me daily. I'd sworn on Gabriella's grave to never put another woman's life at risk for my motorsports career. My sister shouldn't have thought she was a mechanic. She shouldn't have gone to school to be an engineer and gotten involved in the behind the scenes of racing, or taken a job in the corporate offices of our family's business. My voice trailed off. Jack drummed his fingers on the table. We've had this conversation 1,000 times. But hey, we can have it again. Out of mind. I was on the track the day it happened. She didn't die because she was a woman. She died because of a faulty design in the fuel rig. She happened to be the unlucky one to be draining the rig after your race. A familiar feeling of sadness churned in my gut at the memory of my older sister, and how I'd staggered out of my car, screaming her name. I reached into my pocket and touched the silver gold medallion. I reached into my pocket and touched the silver gold luck medallion she'd given me the year I started racing, back when I was 12 and in go-karts. And you never listen or agree with me. She didn't have the upper body strength to wrangle the hoses on the fuel rig, which is my point. Women don't have the capability or stamina to be part of this. Give them their own circuit with specially designed cars and equipment, but keep them off my team. Deal. How difficult was it for people to understand? I was all for women's equality, but in Formula World, the physical demands were too great, both for racers and pit crew members. I quickly steered the conversation away from Gabriella. Also, a woman will distract us. Can you imagine how the guys will react to her? It wouldn't matter what she looks like because someone will want to, you know. He waved his hand dismissively. Screw her, Jack offered. I rolled my eyes. Jade is Astro. I thought I'd spend its final season with a problem-free team. It was difficult enough to stomach that the owner, a brash Silicon Valley billionaire, barely knew an open-wheel car from a junker in a demolition derby at a county fair. But he'd offered such an astronomical amount of money, it was impossible to say no. Eagle was new and risk-taking, my agent had said. Sign the contract, my agent had said. I'd already won 4 world championships and had been looking for a bigger challenge. To win a 5th championship in my final season with a rookie team would be the biggest conquest of all. Really? Will she distract us? How will we even know she's a woman? She'll be done up in a suit and a helmet. Surely you can control yourself. Jack reached across the table to grab the little car. Hell, the man was like a child sometimes. My hands balled into fists. This isn't about controlling my libido. Like I would be interested in a tire changer when I've got models and actresses and that singer. I scratched my jaw. What was the name of the pop singer I hooked up with in Malaysia? I couldn't recall. Women were among the many perks of being a driver, and I had never felt the need to settle down with only one. A lone girl around a group of men will always be a distraction to someone, and it's my safety on the line. I paused to take a breath. Then my rapid-fire Italian accent took over. And what does she know about cars and tires? She wouldn't have the hand-eye coordination needed to change a wheel in seconds. My rant ended in a long and colorful string of Italian expletives. Jack shrugged. We have no say. She'll be starting next week in Monte Carlo. Tasting with us tomorrow. We'll see about that, I snarled. I'll meet with Bronson and try to knock some sense into that stupid American. He thinks he knows everything because he made more money than God in America, but he knows nothing but cars, tires, or racing. I continued sputtering and didn't notice the panic blooming in Jack's eyes until it was too late. A good-natured voice boomed and echoed through the small space as the door banged shut. Who's a stupid American? I groaned silently. It was Brock Bronson in all his friendly, wide smile and glory. I regarded him with a surly smile and decided to ignore what he'd likely overheard. Other drivers would have quaked in fear had they insulted the team owner, but I knew Bronson needed me, the circuit's most popular driver, so I grinned. Fuck him. Buongiorno, Signor Bronson. We were just discussing the team's new hire. Bronson laughed and took a seat across from me at the makeshift conference table where the team often met to discuss strategy in the trailer alongside the test track in Maranello, Italy. His thick American accent grated in my ears. I knew we'd get some of you boys in a snit. Rubens doesn't seem to have a problem with her. He's probably already tried to sleep with her, I muttered darkly, thinking of Rubens Alaguer, my Brazilian teammate who was as legendary on the party circuit as he was on the track. Me and Rubens made quite the tabloid fodder, what with Rubens' never-ending relationships with celebutantes and my colorful post-race comments to the press. Unlike Rubens, I didn't have relationships. I didn't have girlfriends and didn't want complications. Sure, I loved the beautiful women, especially ones who weren't into drama. Above all, I hated drama. The press never ceased in its attempt to stir the pot, whether it was with the driver's on track problems or off track escapades. Terrible twos, the press had dubbed me and Rubens. We were the biggest celebrities in motorsport and could pretty much do anything we damn well pleased. With respect, I need to tell you there's a million reasons why it would be bad to have a girl on the pit crew. What if she becomes involved with someone? I leaned forward and rested my crossed forearms on the table. Don't worry about it. She comes highly recommended from some of the top NASCAR executives. She interned there. Pretend she's a guy. Ignore her. Your only job is to keep winning. You're doing so well, man. You're first in points. Bronson reached across the table and clasped his chubby, smooth hands around my forearms. Keep this up, and you've got a 5th championship. Then you can retire in glory, dude. It irritated me when Bronson called me dude. A man with his wealth should be more formal, less crass. But the American was right. If I won a 5th championship, I'd be remembered as one of the greats of motorsports, alongside Senna, and Schumacher, and Stewart. Have you broken the news to Rubens and the rest of the guys? I've made it clear to Rubens that he's not to harass Savvy, and I'm telling you the same thing. Of course, this is something of a PR move on my part. I think it looks good to have a woman on the team. I'm assigning Savvy to your pit crew, by the way. I rolled my eyes. Savvy. What kind of a girl's name is that? It sounds like the moniker of an exotic dancer, or worse. She's not a girl. She's 21. She's a woman, and you should respect her as such. And Savvy is short for Savannah, as in Georgia, USA, which is where her father, Dale Jenkins, the owner of Jenkins Auto, has his estate and his corporate headquarters. I'm surprised you don't know her, since your fathers are both in the same industry. I straightened my spine, no longer annoyed. Hearing the name of Jenkins Auto sent a frisson of awareness through my body. While I didn't know Savannah Jenkins personally, I had heard of her father and his company. Why does she want to be on the team? Bronson guffawed. Well, might have something to do with the fact that her father is now one of our sponsors. She asked her daddy if she could work with us, and I couldn't say no. It was too good of a PR opportunity to pass up. And you can always ask yourself, maybe she's got her own reasons. I leaned forward, gesturing with my thumb and forefinger for emphasis. And let me get this correct. Our new tire changer is the daughter of the man who owns one of America's largest tire manufacturers, the company that sponsors NASCAR teams? Bronson shrugged. Sounds like you two will have a lot in common. I glared at Jack, then at Bronson. So much for a drama-free season. End of chapter 1. Okay, that's it for Drive by Tamara Lush. If you like what you just heard, you can continue reading more of the book on Wattpad by following the link in the description. Also, give Tamara a follow on her social media as well. That's all for tonight, so thanks for joining. Don't forget to click the like button down there and subscribe if you want to listen to me read some more first chapters. Happy reading.
And ever since then, my lying eyes are deceiving.